That's the first thing I'm seeing. But the thing is, it's not a backtracking of commitments or the social impact. It's more like removing ESG from the narrative, just the name of it, to minimize anyone question you it. So that's one of the things I'm seeing, which is negative. However, I feel that companies are still trying to do something good in terms of ESG, but just doing it in a different language and terminology. I think for me, also, what I'm seeing in practice is that ESG helps you standardize so you can compare yourself with your competitors too. And I think you mentioned you have the CSR, no, what's it called? The EU called it the non-financial indicator regulation, or NFDR. Then you had so you had all around the world, you had all these non-financial indicators that required to be reported. And ESG is basically just, I love how Shannon said the math problem is giving you the equation to you to put it in and to help you standardize that approach. So the other aspects I'm seeing on top of backtracking of the ESG language is that companies are standardizing that approach further. So by mapping clearly, what have they reported on previously? What are things they're not reporting on? And what can they actually measure and track? And that's the kind of standardization I'm seeing, but they're not naming it ESG. And that's the fundamental point, because the ESG terminology has been, unfortunately, like climate change. I mean, look at climate change. You talk to someone about I mean, I was called the Greta of reporting. Imagine sometimes, right? And imagine having that. I'm not telling anyone what they need to eat, and effectively was like, oh, if you send the financial statements to Jose, he might find some issues on greenwashing, and no, don't send it to him. So, and that's, if you think, and that's, I think, the problem, that climate change is always been political since the Kyoto Protocol, but I think then adding ESG to it is a double whammy. And if you think of those hot decision makers who are already against climate change, they're not going to integrate ESG. But that's unfortunately, the ESG terminology is reducing, but companies are still doing the same. I mean, Cambridge University now calls it competitive sustainability. And they've released a paper which I'll share with you guys after. And that was a fascinating new. I mean, it's really long, but I like ESG because it was nice and short. But then this one is longer. I mean, what does competitive mean? And defining that, well, that's a different topic. I think sustainability is already refined. So that's what I'm seeing, but we shouldn't lose faith on it. I think companies are still doing it. Just unfortunately, the financing arms are just being a bit reserved about it.
So I would like to go to talk a little bit about how you see the challenge, and I think you just actually, we just started that thing also. How we see the challenge and strength in the ESG, or let's maybe we find another kind of like line for the ESGs today. But you want to start?
Yeah, let me start, because I'm excited about it, because like ESG, even this acronym, the environmental, the social, and the governance of a company, is risk mitigation. This is exciting. If I'm investing in a company, I want to know that that company has good governance, that cares about people, and that they are good for the environment. Because if they don't have those three components, I don't want to invest in them, because I have risk. I have risk that they're going to be polluting the waters that feed, a whole community. I have a risk that the employees aren't going to be treated well, and that everyone's going to leave, and I'm going to have this cost of an extra turnover. That the leadership is transparent and not corrupt and not doing shady deals, because that's my reputational risk. So if I put my money in this thing, so being good at ESG is an opportunity. It's an opportunity across all the boards. It's an opportunity for investment, and it's an opportunity for you to look at what you're doing as you're creating your business to be more innovative, to be more efficient, to use your resources better. So if you're using your resources, like your natural resources, in a way that's in a circular economy, you're going to reduce your cost of getting those raw materials. You're going to create innovation as your operations and materials people figure out how to do more with less. It is an opportunity, and it's cool and fun to be like, how good can we be? This is the essence of business. We want to maximize our profit, be the most efficient we can be, and we want to have this shiny, good personal image because that builds our brand, which builds more of our business. All of those things relate to ESG, and that is how you can position yourself as a leader, as a good business, and create more opportunity and create more value and more efficiency and more profit. So I think we need to quit talking about ESG as a regulatory problem and start talking about it as it is a opportunity to do business better, to make the money that we want, to have the influence that we want, and to do better by our business and for their communities and for the planet. Like across the board, it is nothing but an opportunity.
There's a similar message. I think if I step back and I'm company A, well, my main engine are employees. The new generation these days are demanding ESG commitments. I'm not sure if you guys have seen the film Oceans by David Attenborough, which opened, basically he showed the pollution in the oceans, and a lot of people now are talking about, whoa, like what's going on with the ocean. And he showed also how we fish the small like scallops we need to kill off probably 50-60% of other species to capture scallops. So it's raised awareness in a crowd and audience that is going to be your next key decision maker. So for me is those people are seeing this information on Instagram, TikTok, plastic pollution, this Sainsbury's bag. Sainsbury's is a UK supermarket found in Indonesia. So that's the main thing of like, these new employees are going to be demanding that from you. Then the regulatory landscape is asking you to do a bit more on this. Then as Shannon mentioned, she's not going to invest money into a company that doesn't care about social aspects or environmental aspects. So it's thinking that way, thinking that you need to start looking this as a strategic tool to allow and help you for better decision making when we're dealing with all these crises affecting our society. So and you don't have to do a lot. That's the thing. You already reported for businesses. You already reported about your environmental provisions. If you had issues to report on that, your insurance already looks at the weather, so they're already looking at the incremental impact on weather. The banking is already doing a credit risk analysis on your risk, right? So it's asking questions. It's saying, hey, stakeholders, are you going to be demanding any new information or data from me in line with all these crises that are happening, but also thinking my new generation and key decision makers will want to see me that I'm doing good business and good for the environment. So that's for me why people need to have a mindset where ESG, it's a strategic tool as opposed to like a burden, because you're not going to get the financing. People are not going to be coming to join your business. Even if you put a gym on it, they're not going to come and join a business if you're not being, climate friendly. Because if you look at the ocean, you can see the pollution is visible now. I mean, I don't know how much more they're finding plastic in inside human body now. So, and that's the thing that people, if I talk about that, then okay, we need to care about ESG.
Are we romantic about it that it's going to happen, that we will have this transition?
I don't know about you, Jose, but I'm not very romantic about it. I'm optimistic. I'm looking for that ESG love out there in the world where but it's
Yeah.
existing. It's existing. I think that we as individuals, it starts with us. It starts about us caring about what we do for the environment, and the choices that we make, like Jose was saying about your food and your waste and your exercise and your transportation, like thinking about those things on an individual basis, then translate into a bigger context of your corporations and your businesses. But it starts with us.